How's it going, everyone? Got quite a few Helldivers 2 updates and notes to talk about in this video. Particularly, have a bit of a note on Warbonds, and some of you guys mentioned this in our last Helldivers 2 video as far as Warbonds are concerned and the frequency they will be released. I had said in the previous video with Cutting Edge talking about it that, hey, Cutting Edge is coming out pretty quickly after the release of the game, but maybe they just wanted to get one out quickly after the game. But ultimately, I thought it would be a good idea to settle in maybe a bi-monthly or quarterly release structure where you're getting 4 Warbonds or so a year. And then some of you guys had mentioned in the comments section, oh, they spoke about this, and I don't know how I missed this. This was noted a little while ago, I believe in an FAQ from the official Discord back in early February, but Warbonds are gonna have very consistent releases, so we'll talk about that in a little bit. On top of that, we have an update on the sales numbers and, of course, the game doing very, very well, so we'll talk that in a little bit. But first of all, Cutting Edge Warbond is out right now, and seems like people are already jumping into it, getting the content from that. Warbonds are obviously their form of battle passes, but they differ from battle passes, and a great difference is that they don't have the element of FOMO attached to them. If you stop playing Helldivers 2, because guess what? There are other games that come out and people have lives and they can't be invested into one game to infinity and beyond. I know you guys are super into it right now, but there might come a point where, hey, your boys jump into X game coming out and you want to play that for a little while, and then you want to jump back into Helldivers 2. Well, guess what? You're not going to miss out on content because you stop playing for a season or anything like that. A lot of live service games, and I understand why they do it, it's to keep the player invested into the game year-round, and that is how a live service game lives and dies. But at the end of the day, I think pushing the element of FOMO a little bit too much, not what I like to see. In the case of Helldivers 2, those Warbonds are going to be available forever. Until the game shuts down, the Warbonds are going to be readily available for you to jump into and get the content from it, instead of it being, let's say, available for a quarter, 6 months, whatever the case may be. Right now, you have the base Warbond, you have the Steeled Veterans Warbond, and you do have the Cutting Edge Warbond that just dropped. And obviously, those are premium Warbonds, the latter two, and they cost super credits. Super credits you could either buy with real currency, real world money, or you could earn them in-game, and they are very, very well done in-game. I've talked about it quite often, but they do it very well. So, on to the crux of the video. For right now, it was noted Warbonds are to be released every second Thursday of the month. Every time a new Warbond is released, you will be able to preview the content, and the Warbonds will never disappear. You can purchase them or not whenever you want to. How many super credits does a Warbond cost? It'll depend on the amount of content in the Warbond. For example, the Steeled Veterans Warbond costs 1,000 super credits, so they will fluctuate in terms of how many super credits they cost, so keep that in mind as well. But yeah, they are going to be releasing Warbonds every month, and you know what? It's a good idea in the terms of it keeps the game fresh, it'll keep players engaged, and guess what? They're not utilizing FOMO to keep you invested, they're adding in and cycling in new content for you to check out. I do prefer that over the battle passes being timed and limited, and the content being limited, and given that there's notable weapons, like, could you imagine if the content in Cutting Edge was just limited to a month or two? That would be absolutely effing whack. That would be terrible, but they're not gonna do that. But Warbonds every month might be a little bit much. I don't know. On one hand, that is a very, very consistent and quick rollout of these Warbonds. At the same time, because they make the super credits very easy to get, very easy might be a stretch, but relatively easy, all things considered. If you want to buy the super credits, you can, but comparatively speaking to a lot of other live service games, and obviously Helldivers 2 is a little different in the sense that it does cost $40 and it's not free to play, but there are games that are $70 and have egregious monetization aspects attached to them, or just any monetization. A $70 game having any sort of monetization, even if it's just cosmetics, I think is whack when you're talking about a $70 title. I'm looking at you, Skull and Bones, I'm looking at you, Suicide Squad, but not to go on that diatribe. Every month for Helldivers 2 is consistent, but again, the super credits are fairly accessible to get, and, you know, I know for a fact there's gonna be people that spend money on the game, and you know what, if you enjoy the game so much, and you're playing it so much, and you're getting, you know, hours and hours of gameplay every month. If you drop $10 on a Warbond, is it the end of the world? For those people, no, but at the same time, you can get those Warbonds by just playing the game, so maybe a monthly release structure, as long as it doesn't get too egregious, it's gonna be fine. All things considered, really, the only way you're gonna be exhausting super credits is if you're buying stuff from the superstore when that rotates regularly. Like, otherwise, if you're saving up your super credits, you should be fine to get the Warbonds every month as long as you're regularly playing the game. Now, you can make the argument, hey, if I stop playing the game for a while, I'll fall behind, but at the same time, if you do fall behind, at least you'll have the content that you can get, and you can jump back into the game, you can start acquiring the stuff, and you can make your way through it that way. And I don't think it'll be the end of the world. I'll wait and see as far as this is concerned and see how the release structure is handled, and if they do end up going every second Thursday of the month, maybe that's something they'll do for the short term. Long term, I'm sure they're gauging the reception, and right now the reception is way bigger than expected, and this was noted back on February 2nd, so the fact that this was noted on February 2nd and the game has exploded since then, I'm sure their planning has changed a little bit. We'll see if they go every month. I would imagine for at least a short term that is going to be the case, but let me know what you guys think about that. Is that a little bit quick? Because to me, that's a little bit surprising, and I'm surprised I completely missed out on this information. It was a little bit earlier on, so maybe it just escaped me. I missed this FAQ on the official Discord, and their official Discord has been a great place for information, but yeah, this element I totally missed, and yeah, credit to all of you guys that pointed it out in the comment section, and I'm really curious to hear what you guys think, because to me, it might be a little bit too quick, but at the same time, given that they offer super credits readily accessible, and you can get them by just playing the game, we'll see it play out, and we'll see how it goes from there. Moving on from that, I do want to note one thing. Christopher Drink, who's a great analyst over on Twitter, noted Helldivers 2 was the clear standout hit this February. Compared to Sony's last big game, Spider-Man 2, get this, sales are only tracking 5% behind. Now, bear in mind, Helldivers 2 did launch on PC, and it does target a little bit of a different audience, but Spider-Man 2 was a massive, massive gargantuan release that came out during the holiday period, and it was a huge release, one of the most successful PlayStation games ever, I believe. As far as first-party releases go, it may be the most and fastest-selling PlayStation game of all time. Just think about that for a second. Helldivers 2, again, also launched on PC. Would be curious to see, I mean, we'll never know, but how would Spider-Man 2 have done if it got a day one PC release? I think it would have done better, obviously, but to what scale, I don't know. I feel like Helldivers 2 is that type of game that is more tailored for the PC audience, but as far as Europe is concerned, PC accounted for 56% of Helldivers 2 sales across Europe. 56% is a reasonably high amount, but honestly, I thought it would be a little bit higher. Obviously, this is just Europe. How that extends to other regions of the world, that remains to be seen. But obviously, the PC release, I do think, was very advantageous for Sony, and I think it's something that they should look at for a lot of other games. I'm sure they're gonna pick and choose, like games like a Concord, games like a Fair Game, and Helldivers 2, these live servicey games, they're gonna come to PC day one, and games that they remaster, like that rumored Gravity Rush 2 remastered, Last of Us 2, Last of Us 1, those games will have a quicker turnaround. In the case of the Spider-Man 2s, the Horizon Forbidden West, the God of War Ragnaroks, it looks like for now they're gonna implement the, you gotta wait a couple years, but I do think they should look at that model, because I think it would be a lot more effective just doing day one on all of these games. At the very least, why not do a case study? Why not drop one of those games day one on PC, see how it does, and then you'll actually have data to go forward, because Helldivers 2 is one kind of game. It's not the traditional Sony big budget single player game. It's very different in the sense that this is a live service multiplayer oriented game, but how would one of those Sony oriented big budget single player games do? I don't know, and we'll never know unless it actually happens. The only data we have right now is that on a delayed release, the Sony games do fine, but I wouldn't say they blow people away, and how could they when you're releasing Ratchet Rift Apart 2 years after release at $60? I mean, people are going to check it out, but not in droves as if it would have been released day one. And Ratchet, as an example, not the biggest IP Sony has these days either, but as far as Helldivers 2 goes, does very well on PC, did very well on PS5, and let's see that momentum continuing to roll on. And as I'm recording this video, still clocking at over 200,000 concurrent players. Very successful number for that. Very positive reception. Seems like it'll settle in at that 83% positive range, which is much better than the mixed reception it had for a minute. But that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.